What is backpacking? Well, essentially at its essence, backpacking is simply hiking and camping combined. So let's talk about that today. Hey guys, Chris with Hikes. Welcome back. If you're new here, this channel's for beginner backpackers. We cover everything you need to know if you're just getting started out backpacking. And today we're going to talk about styles of backpacking. And what I mean by that is because essentially backpacking is simply hiking and camping. For most people, there's a preference over one or the other aspect of backpacking, either the hiking part or the camping part. So today, I want to think about what's your style, and why that's important is because it's going to change your preparation and the equipment you decide to take. So let's get into it. Okay, so what's the difference in styles? Well, first of all, somebody that is more of a hiker backpacker, they're going to try to cover a lot more miles. And one way to do that is to cut weight, because the less weight you're carrying, the easier it is to hike, and that way it's easier to cover a lot of miles. And overall, most of those hikers are going to be just moving most of the day. They're going to be getting up, covering miles. They're going to be making camp. They're going to be sleeping and then getting up and covering more miles. So the focus for a hiking backpacker is the hiking. On the other hand, a camping-oriented backpacker is focused on comfort in camp. And so they're not as likely to be trying to do 20, 25-mile days. And they're likely not going out there so that they can go hike all day, make camp, sleep, get up, and hike all day. For the most part, a camping-oriented backpacker is looking at a destination where they can set up a camp and enjoy living in the outdoors in that camp. So which one is better? Neither is inherently better. It's going to be a matter of what you prefer. And this is a good time to think about what you prefer. If you haven't been out there yet, just picture in your mind when you think about going backpacking, what's that look like? Is it hiking somewhere, sitting by a lake, lounging in a hammock, hanging out, reading a book? Then you're probably oriented toward camper. Whereas if you picture just covering a bunch of miles, seeing as much scenery as you can, and going and going and going every day, well, then you probably are a hiker backpacker. So let's talk a little bit about the pros and cons of each. So as far as hiking backpackers go, you're going to be covering more ground, which means you're going to be seeing more of a variety of things in the outdoors. And because of the preparation for that, your pack is likely going to be a lot lighter, which means there's going to be a lot less wear and tear on your back, on your feet. So if you're a goal-oriented person, this is probably the right style for you. But let's talk about the cons. So one of the things with bringing lighter gear, less gear, is that when you're in camp, overall, you're probably going to be a lot less comfortable. Another con is that you have less time to stop and smell the roses and enjoy everything along the way. Because if you're trying to cover a bunch of miles every day, you have less time along the way to stop and enjoy it. And another con of being a hiker backpacker, which I can attest to, is when you're getting up and hiking really big mile days, day after day after day, that can be really exhausting. And after several days, you can feel pretty wiped out, even if you still have a lot of miles to go. Now, as for the camping style of backpacking, talking about the pros there, well, in camp, you're probably going to have better food because you are preparing to be in camp. And being in camp usually affords a little bit more luxury because you're carrying more stuff. This style of backpacking is great for if you're into photography and fishing and practicing your outdoor skills and things like that, because you're going to be spending most of your time in camp. So you're going to have time to do those things. And while it may be a little harder on your body because of the weight initially, if you're going out to a destination and camping there and spending the day and another day or several days there, overall, this is going to be easier on your body because you're not pushing it every day while you're out there. But of course, there's cons to that as well. And one is that you're going to have a heavier pack because you're going to have more stuff just to be more comfortable in camp. And a heavier pack really kind of sucks sometimes, especially on those uphills. Another con is that this is going to limit how much scenery you're exposed to because you're not covering as many miles. So once you get where you're going, that's where you are. And for somebody who really wants some variety and to experience as much scenery as possible, the camping style is probably not best for them because you can actually kind of feel stuck in one place when you're hanging out in a camp all day, especially if you're going solo. So do you have to be one or the other? Of course not. Is there a middle ground? Absolutely. And there's nothing to say that you can't do a giant through hike if you prefer the camping aspect. And there's nothing to say that if you hike the Pacific Crest Trail, you can't still go to a lake and hang out for 3 days there. Now, I've found there is actually a middle ground. There is a combination of these two styles that works, and that's what I like to call base camping. The idea is you're going out like a camping-oriented backpacker, and you are setting up a camp, and you have some luxuries there. And that's now your base camp. But instead of just hanging out in a hammock all day or being bored or staring at the trees, you have options to follow trails or go explore ridges and mountains and things like that. So this is your base camp. You don't have to get up every day, break camp, and make a new camp. You've got this camp, but you can still go exploring. And in the Trinity Alps, that's what we did. We hiked, we went to a meadow, and we went and explored other lakes and things. But at the end of the day, we were able to come back and our camp was already there. So that was a nice marriage of both styles. So which one are you? Do you want to cover a lot of ground? Hiking backpacker. Do you love cooking huge meals and lounging in a chair? Probably a camping backpacker. Do you hate carrying a lot of heavy gear? Hiking backpacker. Do you hate rushing and do you want to just stop and enjoy everything around you? Camping backpacker. And do you want to do both? Try the base camp backpacking. So which one am I? Well, I think at the essence, I am a camping backpacker. I love to go hike to beautiful places, set up a camp by a beautiful lake with mountains in the background, and wake up, take my time, have breakfast, chill out, and just enjoy nature. Having said that, over the last 2 years, most of my hikes have been through hikes. And so what I found myself doing was hiking a bunch of miles, making camp, getting up, having breakfast, breaking camp, and getting up and hiking a bunch of miles. Timberline Trail, I did that. In the Enchantments, I did that. Rogue River Trail, Mackenzie River Trail. So I don't know why that is. The fact that I love going out and just enjoying that experience of being in camp. I think part of it is these are places I just have to see before I die, and the nature of them, and of course, having enough time off work to go do that means we're hiking, backpacking, right? So you can do both. But my favorite trip was a nice combination through the Wallowa Mountains, 8 days, heavy pack. And that first night I camped at a lake, got up, went hiking, went off trail to a place called Raz Lake. Amazing, isolated, And I spent a couple of days there, and that was great. Went over a ridge to another lake, had another down day. Nice marriage of both. But ultimately, you can do whatever you want to do, and you can do both. But so what's the point of even talking about it if you can do both? Well, the reason it's important to have an idea of what your preferred style is that it's going to come into play when you're planning trips. And if you know what you enjoy more, the hiking aspect or the camping aspect, that'll help you determine where you want to go and for how long when you're looking at options for destinations or trails. The other reason it's important is it's going to affect how you prepare for your trip. In that, I mean, if you're going out 8 miles to a lake and you're going to spend 3 days there, but you're not going anywhere else, you want to think ahead about what you're going to bring and what you're going to want in camp when you're not hiking. And you're probably going to bring more stuff or maybe heavier stuff. You might bring a chair. I would bring a hammock and my Kindle. Whereas if you're going out and you know you're just going to be hiking every day and you're not going to spend a lot of time in camp, then you're going to want to go lighter. If you have options of one tent or another or things like that, you're generally going to take a lighter option if it's appropriate for the weather, and you're probably going to take fewer luxury items. So on that 8-day trip, I had a Kindle, I had a hammock, I had notebooks and MP3 player, all these things to enjoy time in camp. I had better food. And yet, when I did the rim to rim to rim Grand Canyon hike, I had about 12 pounds total with food and water. I didn't bring a backpacking stove. I didn't bring a Kindle. I didn't bring a hammock. I didn't bring anything that I didn't need because I knew those were going to be hard miles and they were going to be a lot of miles. And so knowing that I wasn't going to be hanging out in a camp, I only took the essentials. And that way I was able to cover the miles faster. I was able to go longer, and I was able to be successful. So that's why it matters. In essence, hiking-oriented backpackers enjoy that experience of that journey, whereas camping backpackers tend to enjoy the destination and the experience of that destination rather than the overall experience of hiking. Not to say that this is 100% true for everybody in every aspect, but certainly worth looking at what are your priorities, because that's going to affect how you plan and what experience you have out there. So I want to hear what you think. If you've been backpacking a few times or 100 times, what's your style? What do you like about that? What do you not like about the other style? Or do you like them both? And if you haven't been backpacking, think about what are your priorities and what's that going to look like for you when you get out there on the trail. I want to thank you guys for watching. If this kind of thing is helpful to you, consider subscribing. There's tons of videos on here for new backpackers. I appreciate you guys watching. I'll see you next time.